the world woke up to chaos. It was not a bomb, it was not a declaration of war, it was something far quieter, yet infinitely more terrifying. At 0600 Greenwich Mean Time, the global financial markets froze. Every stock exchange, from New York to Tokyo, went dark. The digital arteries that carry the world's wealth simply ceased to function. Panic did not just ripple, it exploded across continents in an instant. Governments were caught completely off guard, their leaders scrambling for answers that did not exist. Was it a technical glitch of unimaginable scale, or was it something more deliberate, more sinister? The silence from the markets was deafening, a void where trillions of dollars had just been. In Washington, the president was rushed to the Situation Room. The air was thick with tension and the smell of stale coffee. His top advisors, faces pale and drawn, offered theories. They spoke of cyber warfare, of rogue states, of a new kind of terrorism. But there were no claims of responsibility, no manifestos, just an eerie digital silence that held the global economy hostage. This was not a conventional attack that could be met with military force. It was an invisible enemy, a ghost in the machine that had paralyzed the very foundation of modern civilization. The world was not just watching, it was holding its breath, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Across the Atlantic, similar scenes played out in London and Brussels. Prime Minister Evelyn Hayes convened an emergency Cobra meeting, her voice steady, but her eyes betraying deep concern. The initial reports from GCHQ, the UK's intelligence agency, were baffling. They found no evidence of a brute force attack, no digital fingerprints left behind. It was as if the system had simply decided to turn itself off. The precision was surgical, elegant, and utterly terrifying. It suggested an adversary with capabilities beyond anything they had ever anticipated. This was not just a financial crisis, it was a demonstration of power, a shot across the bow of the established world order. For the average person, the effect was immediate and visceral. ATMs stopped dispensing cash, credit card transactions failed, online banking portals showed nothing but error messages. A simple morning routine of buying coffee became an impossibility. The complex interconnected web of trust that underpins modern life had been severed in a single, silent stroke. People stared at their phones, at the blank screens of news channels, a dawning horror spreading across their faces. The world had been brought to a standstill, and no one, not the most powerful leader nor the most brilliant analyst, knew who was responsible or what they wanted. In the halls of power, the crisis forged unlikely alliances. President Thompson, a man known for his cautious, deliberate nature, found himself on a secure video call with leaders he had previously criticized. The conversation was terse, stripped of diplomatic niceties. The shared threat had erased political divides, at least for the moment. They were all in the dark, fumbling for a light switch. Each leader tasked their intelligence agencies with one singular, desperate mission: find the source. The pressure was immense. Every passing hour of economic paralysis brought their nations closer to civil unrest. They were powerful people made to feel utterly powerless. Deep within the labyrinthine corridors of the CIA headquarters in Langley, a veteran case officer named Elias Vance was pulled from a quiet retirement. Vance was a relic of the Cold War, a man who understood the old games of espionage, deception, and human intelligence. While younger analysts scoured terabytes of data for a digital ghost, Vance believed the answer was not in the code, but in the people behind it. He began reactivating a dormant network of assets, old contacts in forgotten corners of the world. He was looking for whispers, for boasts, for the subtle shifts in human behavior that always accompany a grand conspiracy. He was hunting for a shadow in a world blinded by digital noise. Meanwhile, the crisis rippled outward, touching the lives of ordinary people in profound ways. In a small apartment in Berlin, a freelance journalist named Anja Schmidt stumbled upon something strange. While investigating the online chatter, she noticed a pattern. A seemingly nonsensical string of numbers and letters was appearing in the comment sections of obscure cooking blogs. Others dismissed it as spam, but Anja, driven by a reporter's intuition, felt it was something more. It was too consistent, too precise. She began to meticulously copy and catalog the strings, unknowingly holding a piece of the puzzle that the world's most powerful intelligence agencies were desperately seeking. The lines between these three worlds, the political, the clandestine, and the civilian, began to blur. The president's public addresses grew more strained, promising a resolution he could not guarantee. Vance's agents moved through the shadows of global capitals, chasing down whispers and rumors that led to dead ends. And Anja Schmidt, fueled by caffeine and a growing sense of dread, typed away in her apartment, getting closer to a truth she was not prepared for. Each was a player in a game they did not fully understand, their actions unknowingly interconnected as the global clock continued to tick toward an unknown 0 hour. The first breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Anja Schmidt, the journalist in Berlin, finally cracked the code. It was not a complex cipher, but an old, almost forgotten book code. The numbers corresponded to page, line, and word in a first edition copy of a classic philosophical text. The message she pieced together was chilling. It was not a demand for money or power. It was an invitation. It named a time, a place, and a protocol for a secret meeting, directed not at a government, but at a specific powerful corporation. Anja knew she was in over her head. She anonymously sent her findings to a trusted contact at the BND, Germany's Foreign Intelligence Service. The message landed on Elias Vance's desk within hours. The BND, sharing intelligence in a desperate pact of cooperation, forwarded the intel to the CIA. Vance recognized the style immediately. It was the work of a ghost, a legendary spy master known only as the Architect, who was thought to have died years ago. The Architect was a master of orchestrating chaos from the shadows, not for personal gain, but for ideological reasons. A secret meeting was arranged in a neutral location, a private suite, in a luxury hotel in Vienna. The attendees were a select few: Vance, his British counterpart, and, controversially, the CEO of the corporation named in the message. The meeting was thick with paranoia. Every word was measured. The CEO, a titan of the tech industry named Julian Thorne, was defensive and evasive. He claimed to have no idea why he was summoned. But Vance, reading the subtle cues, the flicker in Thorne's eyes, knew he was lying. The negotiations were a masterclass in psychological warfare. Vance did not make threats. He laid out facts. He spoke of the Architect. He revealed details about the financial paralysis that were not public knowledge. He was building a cage of information around Thorne, leaving him with no room to maneuver. The air crackled with unspoken accusations. The tension broke when Thorne finally admitted contact. He confessed that the Architect had approached him months ago, not with threats, but with a proposition. The Architect had offered him a way to reset the global system, to dismantle his competitors, and rebuild the world's digital infrastructure with Thorne's company at the absolute center. It was a deal with the devil, a chance to achieve a monopoly beyond imagination. Thorne claimed he refused, but Vance knew it was not the whole truth. The backroom deal had been struck. The Architect had provided the key, and Thorne had provided the door. The financial freeze was just the first step of their shared plan. The revelation in the Vienna hotel suite sent shockwaves through the Allied intelligence community. Julian Thorne, the celebrated innovator and tech visionary, was a co-conspirator in the greatest act of economic terrorism in history. Under immense pressure, Thorne agreed to cooperate. He would help them lure the Architect into a trap. The plan was risky, relying on Thorne's ability to act under pressure. A second meeting was arranged, this time a direct communication link between Thorne and the Architect, with Vance and his team listening in from a secure location, ready to trace the signal and pinpoint the spy master's location. The moment arrived. The connection was established. A synthesized, anonymous voice filled the speakers, the Architect. The voice was calm, collected, and utterly confident. Thorne played his part, discussing the next phase of their plan to selectively restore services and consolidate his company's control. As they spoke, technicians worked furiously, their fingers flying across keyboards trying to break through layers of encryption and rerouted signals. The trace was difficult, bouncing between servers in dozens of countries. The Architect was a ghost, leaving no digital trail. The team was getting nowhere, and the window of opportunity was closing fast. Then, Vance noticed something. It was not in the signal, but in the words. The Architect used a peculiar phrase, a bit of old naval jargon. It was a phrase Vance had heard only once before, many years ago, from his former mentor at the CIA, a man named Robert Sterling. Sterling had been the one who taught Vance everything he knew about the shadow game. He had retired with honors a decade prior, a celebrated hero of the agency. A cold dread began to creep up Vance's spine. He pulled up Sterling's old service file, his heart pounding in his chest. The pieces began to click into place, with terrifying clarity. The final shocking twist was not revealed by the technicians, but by Vance himself. He leaned into the microphone and spoke a single name. Robert. The synthesized voice on the other end went silent. After a long, heavy pause, the distortion fell away, and the familiar, aged voice of Robert Sterling filled the room. "Hello, Elias," he said, his tone laced with disappointment. "I always knew you were the best I ever trained." The Architect was not some foreign enemy, he was one of their own. A disillusioned patriot who believed the system was so corrupt that it needed to be burned to the ground and rebuilt. The Foreign Intrigue was, in fact, a civil war, started from within by one of their most trusted figures.